Welcome to episode 6 of the Wavelength, everybody. We are back. I'm your host, Tyler.
And I'm Alex.
That's Alex.
What's up?
Happy Mental Health Monday. Actually, it's Sunday.
Tomorrow.
Dang. That'd be cool if it was Monday.
It would be cool.
So
Actually, no, it wouldn't be cool.
No, yeah, Monday's got a stigma around it.
Yeah.
But today's episode might be the start of a reoccurring series. We don't know. We're going to see where it goes. But we're going to call it Mental Health Sunday.
Yeah.
Where we're going to dive into our own vulnerabilities, dive into our struggles, dive into our insecurities, all those kind of things. And we don't exactly know how it's going to go. But, you know, all we know is we have a few of those things that we've had to deal with. And hopefully by us sharing those experiences, you guys can, you know, take some relief off your shoulders knowing that maybe.
I think this will be a special episode.
Yeah.
For us.
I think so too. Man.
I mean, mental health has been near and dear to my heart, and I know it has for you too.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people, everybody has struggles in their own life that are different than ours, or they might be sitting here saying like, oh yeah, I feel that way too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And sometimes I know a lot for me when I first like dove into my own therapeutical journeys about trying to, you know, get on top of my mental health. The biggest thing for me was those aha moments of someone saying something that I had in my mind somewhere, but had never been able to like speak it, you know, and then someone says it in a sentence and you're like, wow, that is exactly what I felt and what I have been thinking, but I could never actually articulate it. So hopefully we'll be able to say some of those kind of things, and I'll try not to say like in between every word.
You're so insecure about that now.
Yeah, that's hey. See, I mean, it's a good time to talk about it. Now I'm real insecure.
Yeah, there you go.
About saying like all the time. But yeah, guys, so welcome to another episode of the Wavelength. Thanks for joining us on the journey so far. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok.
If you want early access to episodes, you get it a day early on Saturday night if you're not doing anything. Just little clips we don't normally post.
Yeah, join the Patreon for all that kind of stuff.
You can talk to us a little on there. And
we'll hit you back. We've been messaging. Not too many people have messaged us. I don't know if we've told y'all, but if y'all want to have a conversation, shoot us a message on Patreon once you join the club, and we'll hit you back. Yeah. Or if you got any questions, I'm sure at some point we're going to have a Q&A episode from our Patreon members only. So
this is episode 6. We're tired of talking to each other. We want to talk to you guys.
We need some of y'all to come on in and take the pressure.
Need someone else.
Yeah, throw us some topics or something. What do you like and what do you not like? And we need something. But hey, thanks for joining us if you've come this far. So I feel like this is mental health is definitely something that is I would say it's probably the biggest issue in the world right now. Yeah. And something that in a positive way has been brought to the forefront of society.
It's getting bigger and bigger.
And it's not so stigmatized as it has been in the past, you know? Because that's an unfortunate barrier that a lot of people have had to suffer through, just getting past the fact that there's a stigma around their mental health. So then you're scared to even take control of it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So hopefully we're continuing that by having an episode like this. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how's your mental health been lately? We'll start with that. Alex, how you been feeling?
Better.
Yeah?
Honestly. We kind of touched on this last episode, but I've felt like my confidence going back up in multiple ways. Mm-hmm. I mean, mental health it's never you're great for a long time or you're low for a long time.
It's not linear.
Yeah, it's definitely not linear. But I mean, there's been multiple times in my life where it's been super low, and then other times where it's super high, and then there's other times where I've personally done stuff that made it low, but it felt high. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
The Band-Aid effect.
Yeah, the Band-Aid effect. I'll go into that. But no, overall, I would say it's good, dude. I've actually had therapy this week, and like she was kind of asking me how I'm doing, and I was like, honestly, like, good. Mm-hmm. I was like, I feel pretty good. Like, I was out with some friends this past weekend, and I was like, I felt my confidence up a little bit.
Yeah, it was boosted.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, because there was times where I'm like, I just don't feel like being here. Like, I don't know, like just felt down or whatever. Mm-hmm. And had like self-doubt, whatever the case is, but it wasn't. I felt like kind of new this weekend, to be honest with you.
Dope.
So,
You think that's because we just put out our first few episodes?
I mean, that could have a part of it,
All
but
right.
but at the same time, like,
And you're
I don't
also
know.
doing things for you these days. you know?
doing things for me.
That's got to be helping.
Yeah. And I mean, life has been honestly the past 6 months of my life. I've said this a few times. Have been a fucking roller coaster.
Mhm.
So there's
2024.
been a lot of ups and downs recently, but this is like in this moment at least, like I feel pretty solid.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I feel like that's the thing, man. You got to kind of just take it one moment at a time.
Yeah.
It is a skill to be able to dive into your own psyche in the moment and really see or really be present and see how you're feeling in the moment.
Yeah.
And it takes practice too. You know?
But dude, that's like kind of what therapy did to me.
Yeah.
Like it made
Yeah,
me
same.
like actually sit there and think about it with like an unbiased opinion.
Right.
Almost.
Mm-hmm.
I actually like truthfully probably before whenever I decided to go into therapy, I never thought I'd be in therapy.
Yeah.
But like so glad I did it. And yeah, like I said, you just have an unbiased person that doesn't even like, well, they know you. They actually know a lot about
They
you.
know a lot eventually,
But like,
but they're still unbiased.
yeah,
Like you
they're
said,
still
help.
unbiased and it's just like different. Like it's not getting advice from a friend is great.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, they are biased.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people tell you what you want to
Yeah.
hear.
Tell you what you want to hear, and they're not trained professionals in that,
Exactly.
Which,
Exactly.
I mean, can be a good thing or a bad thing. Sometimes people can nail it on the first try, give you
True.
the greatest advice, but
True.
and I'm someone who I wish I would take my own advice more. I'm way better at giving advice to people than I am of taking my own.
So true.
Oh, that's my biggest thing.
So true.
Oh, it's my
Yeah.
biggest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
I can give people the best advice in the world, and then I just like won't follow that.
You're like, damn, I should say that in the mirror.
Like I should be doing that.
That's my thing, man.
Yeah.
But I guess it's a good thing. It's a good thing to be a
Yeah.
podcast host doing that. So at least we can throw a lot of things out there.
Yep.
Hopefully people can get some use out of it. But I mean, it's tough. I saw something recently that has been resonating with me was you are not your thoughts.
Yeah.
That's something that has stuck with me for whatever reason.
It's true.
Anytime I'm like in my head or like having a bad day or something like that, mental health wise, I'm like, that's not me.
Yeah.
You know, that's just, an outside factor happening or my brain just went in this direction because of XYZ, but it'll kind of come back. to
Dude,
normal.
one thing I've been doing lately, like kind of on that topic, is like when I am having like those negative thoughts or whether it's anxiety or like I get sad about something and I like start thinking about that. Honestly, that's an annoying thing that happens to me. Like a negative thought will just pop in my head for no reason.
Yeah,
like I wasn't even thinking about it, and then all of a sudden,
It's
like
like a freaking gnat just
you just
coming in.
randomly see something on social media, or you see something, or it'll just pop in your head.
Mhm.
And then one thing I've been doing, I actually told my therapist this week too, is like I think about like what real life is. I'm like, I guess like what the real scenario is and why am I thinking this way? And that really like brings me back.
Mhm.
Like, I hope that makes sense.
It doesn't make
But,
sense
yeah.
because you're thinking about it objectively.
Yeah.
I think as in like
Yeah, I almost think the opposite. Like I don't really like feed into it anymore. You know what I mean? Like there was a time where I was like feeling bad for myself or being like, oh my God, this sucks. Like,
Mhm.
but now it's like, no, like that's you, whatever the case is, like weren't getting treated right, or
Right.
this thing didn't happen like it was supposed to, or you're annoyed because whatever happened. But yeah, I just kind of snap back and be like, hey, it didn't happen for a reason, or this is going to happen instead. You got to do this instead. Like, or you didn't have to do what was supposed to happen.
Right.
So,
Right. I feel like I've been lately, I don't know if maybe it means my confidence is growing. I've been doing like where I get to the worst case scenario, or I let myself get to the worst case scenario in my head.
okay.
And then I'm like, okay, but how would I react to that if that worst case scenario happened? And I'm like, I'd probably just kind of be rolling with the punches. I'd probably just be pretty chill.
Yeah.
And I'd probably just be able to get through it in the best way that I can, as long as I control my reactions.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, I mean, the hardest part about anything is all of life is just reacting. Anything can happen to you, but it's all about how you react to certain situations.
It's about how you react and how you look at it.
Yeah, and how you are able to look at it. And it's way easier said than done, but
Oh,
being able to like take yourself out of a moment and look ahead when something stressful is happening, I think can be a good skill, because then you can look at it more as like something that is passing or fleeting rather than something that, the entire world is collapsing right in front of you. Unless the world actually is collapsing, but so far so good.
We're here.
We're still floating around
as far as I know,
space and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've been letting myself get to the worst case scenario, because a lot of times before I would see a negative thought pop in my head, and then I would be like, oh man, here we go. I'm going to go down this rabbit hole. And then I would try to just suppress the thought or whatever. And then it wouldn't really help me. I would just be lingering on that stupid little thought. Now, if I just let myself go through the whole process of, the negativity, I get to the other side of it. I'm like, how would I really react to that?
Right.
I'm like, you know what? I'll just take it, and move along.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's how I've been lately. I guess it's a confidence thing.
Yeah. So how was yours?
Mine's good, man. Mine's really good. I feel like in a better place now than I have been ever, honestly. Just I feel more connected to myself, I guess, and more just motivated these days. I think just working on this podcast has been really helpful for me. I like to have a project or something.
Yeah.
And also, I like to have a team. So I love that we're like a team. Like I've said this a lot of times, but I literally wouldn't be able to do this just by myself. Like the fact that I'm like we're a team in this, it motivates me even more to like work harder and, put the best stuff out there, because I'm like, you benefit from that too. So
we both do.
Yeah. So I love just having a team. I'm a big team player.
I've always been like that.
Yeah.
I'd rather be on a team than by myself.
Oh, anytime. Yeah. Anytime.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I don't like about, was my favorite thing on the challenge. When they told us we were going to be in teams, I was stoked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, all right. It literally gave me the more motivation every time we would do anything, like a competition or anything.
Yep.
It's just how I've been. But there's a lot of people that, I think it goes back to sports. Like we grew up playing team sports. It was just normal. But some people grow up like, I don't know, doing individual athletics or doing individual things like that,
It's also hard when you're just competing against yourself.
Yeah.
Like, dude, track.
Man, I hated track.
You're literally just trying to beat your last time. Like.
Yeah. Tough. That's got to be tough.
Yeah. It's just not fun.
It's not fun. I think
it's not really fun to win by yourself either.
One of the best things I ever did was quit track in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
Because I kept getting 4th place in the damn 800. And I would just lay there on the side of the track at the end of the race for the rest of the track meet.
Well, the 800 is like the worst one.
The worst one. Just 2 laps? Are you kidding me?
It's a full sprint.
Oh my God. And 4th place, I'd always be in 3rd place going down the last turn. And then I would end up getting 4th because I'd be dying out. Remember that one time we were standing in line at track practice? And I had my spikes on, and you were standing behind me.
We were in line for a long jump, and Tyler goes to stretch his quad, and I have this scar going up my shin. He looks back, did I get you? I'm like, oh my God, I'm bleeding.
I'll never forget that, man.
That was so bad.
Like fast forward, my memory just fast forwards to me watching you run the 400 with a big
bandage around my leg because you sliced my leg open.
I'm like,
I got last place.
I think you did because you were limping. I'm like, you were like probably gonna get top 3 in that, and then I just see you just taped up.
No, I probably got last place in the 400. I was not good at track.
Gashed you, dude.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, man. Yeah, track sucks.
It does.
Sorry to all you track athletes. I'm not a fan. Y'all are built different for that. Yeah, man. Well, I mean, one of the things we talked about in our intro to this whole podcast was self-doubt.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're doing.
Exactly.
So why do we say that? Is that something that you've struggled with the most? Doubting yourself?
Yeah, probably. I would say that's like definitely one of like the biggest things I've had to face in my life. Just not knowing if not knowing if I could do it. Not really believing in myself, I guess. Worried about what other people think. Mm-hmm. All that stuff has been like really tough for me, and I don't really know why.
It ties into limiting beliefs, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't really know how to explain it, but I've definitely always had that feeling.
Mm-hmm. Are you afraid of failure? Or are you afraid of?
I don't think I am anymore.
No?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like as you get older and you fail so many times, then you keep bouncing back up, you realize that it's just a lesson to be learned.
Yeah. It kind of like doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's a good thing to
You know
fail.
what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah,
It does matter in a way, but almost like in a positive way.
Yeah, it matters. It's a good thing.
You
in
like
the long
learn
run.
from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You
But
have to.
yeah, I definitely used to be afraid of failure for sure.
Mhm.
I always wanted to be like, I don't know, maybe the best at something.
Mhm.
And I never really knew what that was, I guess.
Mhm.
So, yeah, always struggled with like self-doubt, and I don't know if I could do anything. Like even, God, dude, even when you're at the top, I feel like you can still have that.
Everybody has that.
Yeah, you can still have that doubt of like, another thing that goes along with that is like imposter syndrome.
I was just gonna say that.
Like, do I actually belong here?
Yeah.
And like,
Mhm.
if you're there, you do.
Right.
Like, but yeah, I mean, you can make up any excuse you want to not feel like that,
Right.
or not make yourself not feel like you should be there. But
Yeah,
that's
imposter syndrome is definitely real. I feel like that's something that has been spoken of a lot more recently and conceptualized. There's nothing like that feeling of feeling like you are the only person in the room that doesn't belong
yeah,
when
And
you
it's just
are
like-
just right there with everybody else that's done the same thing.
Yeah,
Who's
it's-
also feeling that.
it's so not true.
Yeah.
But I honestly like, I think imposter syndrome can be a fancy word for just self-doubt.
Yeah, for
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I think they coincide a lot.
Oh, without a doubt.
Um,
Yeah, man, self-doubt. I feel like it's one of those things that I think it goes in with limiting beliefs at the same time because, I mean, it's whether it be people being told that, you know, you're not capable of something, like that's just something that frustrates me the most. Someone telling another person that they're not capable of doing something or, you know, guiding them into a corner and to make like saying like, oh, no, this is your skill set. This is all you can do. You know, this is the route that's going to be successful for you. Everything else is not going to be. That's something that's just so frustrating to see. But it must be, I don't know, man. It must be something that is just hard to recognize that you're doing it to someone in the moment when it's happening, because it seems to happen quite a bit.
Yeah.
To like, especially impressionable, like young people. Seems like a lot of people are getting, you know, their guidance aren't necessarily guiding them in the right direction.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know if I ever do become a dad, I feel like that's going to be my most important thing, is to
encourage
them to try new things and encourage them to, you know, believe in themselves, that they truly can if they put in the work in any, you know, sector of the world, they can accomplish it. Because I definitely felt that. I used to, like, I think I said this in the last episode or a couple episodes ago, I thought I was such an idiot because I wasn't very good at school, you know?
Yeah.
I thought I was so dumb. I was like, what am I going to do?
Well, dude, I think it's not even, it can be role models for sure, or like your parents or whoever it is, but I think society puts so much pressure on that too. Like, hey, like at least when we were, I think it's actually straying away from this now, but like when, I remember when we were in high school, like the only thing that was pushed on us was you had to go to college.
Right. Or you're going to be a failure.
Yeah. Like you had to go to college. There was no other option.
Right.
Like that was the way you have to do everything. And like, I believed it. And I guess I'm just going to go into like probably one of the biggest, I don't like having regrets. Like I do believe everything happens for a reason. I genuinely believe that everything has worked out in my life how it's supposed to. But at the same time, like you always wonder like what, if you made one different decision, like what would have happened? And
the butterfly effect.
For sure. The butterfly effect. But like, dude, a big problem in my life is like I've never known what I wanted to do almost. And I actually feel like a lot of men struggle with that. Like just having like a purpose, or even, I'm sure girls do too, but a lot of people struggle with like not knowing what their purpose is and like solely focusing on that. And I've felt that anxiety a lot before, like a lot. If I don't feel like I have like a mission or something I'm working towards, like it really bugs me.
Yeah.
And that can be multiple things, but I think one of the biggest regrets in my life was like, dude, I like loved music, like growing up, and like going to college, like I kind of just played the safe route. And I actually might have already talked about this on another episode.
I think so.
But yeah, I wish I would have done something with music and like just actually followed a passion and like just seen where it would have gone and not followed the straight and narrow. So Yeah, I think that's just something that like society pushes and it gets in people's heads.
Yeah, that's another thing we talked about. That's a tough time for people to be pushed into a direction too.
Yes.
Especially if it's not the direction that's right for them, because I mean, you're still developing.
Yep.
So in a way, it's a good thing. You get out there and experience things. No, we did, but it's another good point to bring up, because it can really lock people into a tough state in their own mental health if they're not doing something that's speaking to them. It's speaking, or they're trying to, and there is good things in making people proud in your life and stuff like that. That's awesome. It's a great feeling. But if it's not speaking to you, if it's not making you proud at the same time, then you're kind of living for somebody else. You're not really living for you. And
that's where it's gonna hurt you. Honestly.
Yeah, that's where it's gonna get you. 'Cause then you get so much farther and farther away from your authentic being. And I just think about sometimes, I'm like, man, there's so many, I don't know, there's so many freaking Shakespeares out there that are like dentists or something, you know what I'm saying? Like there's so many people, or like, oh dude, there's like there's like the greatest athlete in the world that is like, just never was able to unlock their potential because they went a different route. You know what I'm saying?
You just unlocked a whole can of worms right there.
Did I?
You know what one of my biggest like pet peeves, or not maybe a pet peeve, but like something that like really like gets to me, frustrates me, is when I see like someone like so well, and like who they are, and you see like the world of them, and they can like what they're supposed to do almost.
Mm-hmm. It's just
and they don't do it. They don't ever work towards it, or like give up on it, or whatever the case is. Like there's this guy from our high school. He should be one of the most famous comedians.
Yeah.
He should be one of the most famous comedians out there. Hilarious. He was hilarious. Mm-hmm. And like I don't know. I actually don't know what he's doing now, but like he just didn't go that route. And I'm like, dude, you had so much potential. And I see that in like my friends. But he still
got it though. That's the thing.
For sure.
He can still do it.
For sure. Can still do it.
Yep.
But yeah, that kills me almost.
It is tough, especially for like you said, you a lot of times struggle with knowing your direction and wanting to be the best at something. So when you see someone that is the best at something and you see them not going for their potential, that's frustrating. Yeah. Because you're like, damn, I wish I had something as good as you had.
I wish I was as funny as you.
Exactly.
Or I wish I was as talented at this as you. Like, you should go like do that.
Mm-hmm. But it's not that simple.
I know. It's not that simple.
But I understand what you're saying. It's like, or like just an amazing athlete or something, and it's like you see people make it to the NFL and then make a terrible decision. You're like, it's like, how can you comprehend finally making it to the league where you can make millions and millions of dollars doing something you worked for your whole life, and you want to like go, I don't know, drive your car 200 miles an hour down the street and like hurt somebody.
Yeah,
dude. I mean, that's kind of stuff is really frustrating. But you can never, I mean, that's the thing. Even when you get to that level, people's mental health, their guidance or their circles aren't always perfect, and it can lead them down wrong paths.
Yeah, self-doubt's a killer, dude. Just like not following that stuff. I think it was at a point, I've told you this before personally. I think we were drunk, but
probably we have a good conversation when we
I told you this before personally, but I was going through it. I don't know what exactly it was, but I was down for sure. And like, I mean, I have some of the best friends in the world, and you're one of them, obviously. But I like wrote in my journal, I was like, I wish I saw myself the way my friends see me. Because like y'all are always gassing me up and shit. And like I wrote that, and like I think about that a lot, honestly. Like if I am feeling down, I'm like, dude, you're loved by so many people.
Good. I'm glad you started thinking that way.
Yeah.
Because we see you that way.
For sure.
I like that.
For sure. So like I think about that a lot, and like, but in retrospect, I catch myself doing it to other people. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So
what do you mean by doing it to people?
Like I think that way of other people. I'm like, I see you so much better than you see yourself. Especially when like my close friends are talking to me like, and they're down about something, and I'm like, you're like one of the best people in the world. Like, don't you shouldn't feel like that.
Yeah.
And I guess it's easier to see it on the outside because I know what it's like to be on your own side of it. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I've definitely felt that before.
Yeah.
Like, and on my platform, a lot of people say a lot of nice things to me all the time, but it just goes out. There's been times where those things just go right over your head. You know what I mean? Or like your people closest to you, sometimes you're just not able to accept it. You got to be at a point where you can accept it.
Yeah.
You know, when I was at some of my lowest points is when I had the most people telling me that I was a cool guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's because it's something within.
Yep.
You have to be at a place where you're able to receive.
Yeah.
You know? So that's another thing, just being able to receive the good and filter out the bad and learn like a lesson if you need.
Yeah.
Like not every bad thing that you hear about yourself is evil.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes there's a little bit of truth in things where if you can dive around the whatever negativity or anything, you can kind of get it. It also depends on the delivery. You know what I'm saying?
Is,
So, and who the person is. So, yeah, I feel like it's just hard, man. It's just hard, especially this world that we're in now, where you got social media and we got a million different opinions about us that are just thrown at us, and we're not even asking for it. And the argument I see a lot is, well, if they're gonna put themselves in the public eye, then they deserve to be, you know, told different things about them. And I'm like, yeah, maybe that's true, but at the same time, you don't have to be a dick. You could be a nice person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Just not say it.
Yeah, you could.
Like, just not be an asshole.
Right, you could just not suck. You know what I mean?
So what's something that, like, I kind of went into what I've struggled with. Like, what's something you've really struggled with? Like, just as a guy in society, or like just going through all the stuff you've gone through?
I would say the thing I struggle with the most, and that I continue to struggle with, is probably just getting really down on myself about, I don't know, I feel like I've always kind of just been by myself in life a little bit. You know, I don't really have too much, like, I'm not really close with my family or anything. So I feel like I put a lot of pressure on myself to kind of get out there and do things that are, you know, just to prove my younger self that I'm like capable of doing stuff. Like I said, I think I've said it a lot. I just felt like coming out of high school, I was just like kind of pushed aside and, you know, pushed off in a way. And I was just
by who?
Just the way, just having bad grades, and just like my dad passes away, like, and I didn't really have any close ties to my family. So I had you guys, which you guys are always my family to me. Yeah. You know, so I always felt just like in a way that I was kind of at a clean slate, you know, but I felt like when I was a lot younger, I put way too much pressure on my own shoulders to go out there and like do something cool and make something of myself.
Well, you fucking did it.
Well, I did, but I still feel that way.
You still feel like that pressure?
Yeah, I still feel that way because I'm like, I always just felt the pressure to be like, okay, well, if I don't have anybody, I'll be there for myself. But that's a really hard place to be, and I try not to put myself there anymore because I'm like, I got lots of people that support me. Yeah, you know, and lots of great close friends and all that kind of stuff that support me, and I'm not in this alone. So my biggest thing that I always just felt like alone, and I put myself into a corner and I isolate myself a lot for that reason, and it's just not a healthy place for me to be. It has led to a lot of good things, like career-wise. Like I kind of forged my own path, I guess, in a way, and I got lucky along the way. But it's really because of the moments where I felt the most connected to people, my friends, and people that supported me, that I was able to progress more. But like isolating myself in corners, and you know, there'd be streaks sometimes where I wouldn't talk to anybody for a week. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
which is wild.
You know, like literally physically not even speak. Yeah. For like a week. I would just felt so alone in the world, you know? So just being able to push through times like that and just stay connected with people is something that has really helped me. And I've learned the value of it more as I've gotten older, like the value of a genuine relationship and a friendship. You know what I mean? I think it's like I've said this actually, but I think I said this in like the first episode, but like, I think the most important thing in life is your relationships. Whether that, it can be relationships with anybody. It doesn't have to just be family, friends. It can be literally anything. Right. Because it's a two-way, it's a circle of life. The more you put out and the more love and everything you put out towards someone, even if it's just directed at one person, it's going to come back around to you. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if you're just kind of isolating yourself, you know, then there's no way to start the circle and get back what you need or deserve. Yep. And it might not work every time with every relationship, but
it's not supposed to.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. Because that's how you learn which.
You're not meant for everybody.
Exactly. Yeah. Like if you're not getting it back, that's a relationship that you either maybe need to have an honest conversation with that person about it in a not a argumentative way, or it's maybe time to move on from that relationship.
Yeah,
You know
I mean, that's part of it too, is who you surround yourself with,
right?
who you let in to that piece of you, at least.
Yeah,
that like past the surface, or
and it's hard to let people in for sure.
Have your time. Yeah.
But the more, I mean, you're good at it. I always look to you for stuff like that, like putting
what?
yourself out there. You have like a lot of friend groups, and you've always seemed really good at just putting yourself in different groups and like talking to people. I've always felt like I kind of struggle with that. Like,
really?
Yeah, just putting myself out there and really letting people in, I guess, in a way.
I love being social. I love like social events. Like,
Yeah,
I like being out and just, I don't know. Doesn't have to be always like meeting a bunch of random people or anything like that, but I almost just like being in that environment. Like when, I don't know if I go out or whatever the event is, whether it's a networking event or whatever, like it's just want to be like, I like to be in that setting of social environment, but I like to be with really my people. Like that's who I'm talking to.
Right.
For the most part. It's not like I'm running
your
around.
Home base.
Yeah. Like home base, but like you're still in like an active environment, like not sitting on a couch just watching a football game or whatever.
Yeah, man, that's what life is all about, honestly. We're just a bunch of little freaking organisms floating around a rock that's floating through space out of control.
We're small.
We're pretty damn small.
We're small.
I watched Interstellar the other day, and I realized how small we are.
Great movie.
Great movie. I love that movie.
That is a solid.
I watched it for the 4th time, and I finally understood it.
Yeah.
Of course, my girlfriend understands it the first try. I'm like, yep, you're smarter than me. Man,
it takes a minute.
It does, dude.
It takes a minute.
It does. What's something that you think holds you back at the moment?
At the moment.
Or has held you back in the past, I guess I should say.
I mean, that kind of goes back to the same question, like just like doubting myself and doubting like my potential and not taking care of myself almost. Like almost like giving too much, and like which don't get me wrong, like I like doing this. Like I like helping other people, but like not like saying no.
Yeah.
I have the biggest problem to saying no.
Yeah.
And it's worked out good and bad for me. Sometimes I burn myself out, like completely will burn myself out, and I'm miserable.
For sure.
But other times, like when I've wanted to say no and I'm like, you know what, like I should do this. This will be fun, whatever. It's worked out where I'm like, I either had a great time or I was there for something that I needed to be there for.
Yeah, there's power in saying no.
There is power in saying no. I'm not great at it.
Yeah.
Kind of a yes man. But there's good and bad parts to that. Going back to therapy, that she literally asks me this every time, because like I live a busy life. Like I do. I mean, I'm doing something almost every day. I don't really have like a chill day.
Yeah.
But it's also hard for me to chill. But she always asks me like, hey, like, what are you doing to like relax and like relax your mind, relax your body? Because
no stimulants, just
no stimulants, no like, I mean, even like going to the gym, she's like, you need to like make sure you have time for yourself to like sit there and just like stop the brain motion for a little bit. And I'm definitely not good at that.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's super hard.
Especially we got so many things in the world today being thrown at you 24/7.
Yeah, it's super hard. But that has burnt me out before. So struggle with that, and just like just doubt myself and not like almost like trusting the process, which I think I'm doing a lot more now.
Yeah,
like I'm not
sitting back.
I'm not worrying about like the future too much. Like I'm just kind of like, if I take the next step, like it'll go where it's supposed to.
One day at a time, one step at a time.
Yeah. So but that's definitely stuff that's held me back in the future or in the past.
Yeah.
What about you? You got anything that's holding you back?
I don't think so, man. I feel pretty untethered at the moment.
Yeah.
But
that was great. End of story. End of podcast.
I'm good. Later, y'all. No, nothing relating. No, I feel like in the past I've definitely had a lot of limiting beliefs of myself, I think. Or at least in moments. I think the worst in moments. I'm the kind of person where like overall in general I'll have just a very, wide, outrageous like view of the future, optimistic, and then all at once I'll just like a wave out of nowhere of just doubt will just crash and it'll just send me. You know what I mean?
Dude, I feel that too.
You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what feeling you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to, explain, but it's just all at once, just boom, just like hits you. And it's like every optimistic thought you can't even think anymore. You know what I mean? Like it's like it's not even in your brain anymore. It's just nothing but negativity and being down on yourself.
Yeah. Being like, this isn't going to work out. Like, why am I doing this? Oh, I look like an idiot.
Right.
Like, stuff like that. Yeah, dude, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
It comes out of nowhere too.
Mm-hmm. But I'm also kind of like you. I'm a people pleaser.
Yeah.
Or I have been. But
people pleasing is a much better word for what I was trying to describe.
Or like a yes man, people pleasing. Yeah. Just trying to do what's best. I feel like maybe I haven't. I don't know. It's hard to say because it's like sometimes you do that for the wrong people and it can get taken advantage of in a way.
For sure.
Which I feel like I've experienced that before.
Yep.
Or, it's just not completing the circle that you need or not filling you back up. And then if that person or it thinks is like benefiting off of that, it can just keep going. And then before you know it, it can just drive you into a place where you're not even yourself anymore. And you're just putting so much out. You don't even have the energy or mental strength left to even try to fill yourself back up because you just put it all on someone else. So that's why I feel like that's good to evaluate your relationships every now and then, because if there's any that are like that, maybe it's time to have a good talk or, think things through and try to get a little bit back, at least be able to vocalize it, because sometimes it's hard to vocalize that too.
Yeah, dude, it's tough. I've, there's been situations where I'm like, fuck, if I don't do this, like, it's the end of the world. Like, they're going to hate me and all this other stuff. And it's like, no, like, I'm like, I look back now and I'm like, I should have said no.
You can say
like,
no.
Why did I?
Yeah, they'll be all right.
Why did I agree to that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why did I feel like I had to do that? But I've felt that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there also is a time and a place. It's like, I feel like as you get older and as you experience things like that, you kind of learn to like be there for your people in the right moments. Like you learn the moments to say yes.
Yep.
You like always want to be there for the important moments.
Yeah.
In a way, and like check on people that have been there for you and stuff like that. Or at the very least, like there is a limit though. Like if you're doing something for someone, 10, 11, 12, 13 like times in a row,
and you're not
getting anything back, and you feel like it's just a one-sided relationship, that's something that can really, drive someone down, and it can really hurt someone's mental health too, because then they're like, wow, I'm not worthy of receiving the love I'm giving out, and all I'm trying to do by putting out that love is to get some back and help this person at the same time. But if you're not getting it back, I think it shoots your self-confidence down quite a bit.
Yeah, it does.
It
definitely does.
Because then it's like, damn, I'm not even worthy to get that back, that treatment back.
Yep.
It's just like treat someone how you want to be treated. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, not to relate everything back to dating, but like I have felt that way in dating in certain relationships.
Mm-hmm. You have this note here that says dating and accepting love. It's an Alex problem, LOL. That's what you wrote.
Forgot I wrote that one.
You wrote that.
Yeah.
So you have a problem accepting love in a relationship, do you think? Or have you put out a lot and it hasn't been reciprocated, and then your confidence gets shot?
I think it like correlates. I think they're like related problems I have. Like I've been in a lot. I mean, there's been a decent amount of relationships that I've had, whether they were like super long or not, where it's like I was actually like really trying, but I felt like it was like I had to like really work for it, almost. You know what I mean?
It didn't feel like
I had to like
flowing.
Yeah, well, I had to like I almost like prove myself, and maybe that's like a toxic trait of mine that I'm like I just like to chase, and then when it's good, I'm out. But that wasn't the case in some of these. Like it was just like I always felt like I had to show my worth and like be a good boyfriend and to like receive that love. So now when it like comes easy from people, like I don't know if I like really like trust it or like know how to react to it.
I didn't do all those things that I was doing before to earn it. So why are you giving it to me?
Yeah, and like that's like a weird scenario to me.
I was saying I feel like I don't have to, not to just tell you, but you deserve to feel loved and appreciated without doing anything.
I know.
You know what I mean? You don't have to fucking earn it every time. Everyone deserves to just feel it.
Yeah.
It's a natural thing. But I understand what you're saying about feeling like you have to earn it, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
You know? But everyone's got different love languages, I guess, in a way, too. So you could be putting out, all the words of affirmation in the world, but people have different love language in the way they give it and in the way they receive it. So you can put out all these words of affirmation to someone, but the only way they receive it is with, I don't know, gifts.
Yeah.
So then they just don't feel loved by you because you're not giving them gifts.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it's just a miscommunication. But if you can find someone that, links up to your love language, which I feel like is a real thing. People talk about that a lot.
No, I think it's so real.
It's real, for sure. I like all of them myself. I'm a big fan of, words of affirmation, physical touch, gifts. What are the other ones?
Acts of service.
Acts of service?
Yeah. I would mine it. So I give acts of service. That's the way I give. And then,
me too.
And then words of affirmation is probably my biggest one.
Yeah, me too. Which one?
Quality time's another one.
You like to get words of affirmation?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Yep.
Yeah, quality time. Oh, yeah, that's another one.
I just need to.
I love all of them.
Yeah. I mean, they're all.
You can't go wrong.
You
know what I'm saying? I'll take any.
I think gifts could be the one I care the least about.
Right.
I don't need a present.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably the lowest on my totem pole. But it is, if you think about it in a way, it's like someone worked hard to get you something, so it's also kind of an act of service at the same time. Yeah. So I understand it, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite. But yeah, dude, sometimes it doesn't matter about, you don't really, I don't think you should have to work too hard to be loved. It is a process, but if you're just being yourself and putting out the best, then you're going to get that back. But you don't always fucking deserve it. You don't always have to go out and,
for sure,
you don't always have to earn it.
I know it's a me thing. That's why I said Alex problem.
Man. Well, you have had a lot of relationships.
Not even a lot, just...
Yeah, not a lot.
Whatever.
Interesting ones, which we're going to get to. We got a whole episode.
Yeah, that's coming.
Based on relationships.
That's coming.
What's some other things that you think men in general in society struggle with, since we are, men in society in general, something that maybe we haven't struggled with too much, but something that's a big problem out there? Mm-hmm. I think ego is one.
Yeah, ego. I mean, that's where I was going to say is ego. There's like this stigma about being an alpha male, and like you have to be the provider, like the sole provider and everything. And like, I mean, that puts pressure on us. I'm not saying that's necessarily like, if you want to be a big provider and like that feeds you, like, you should work towards that. I mean, I personally feel that way.
Yeah, or if you have to be.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you have to be, like, step up. But I think there's a big push for that. And I'm not saying you shouldn't want to be that. Like, I think that helps with your mental health if you achieve those goals and like are a provider and are doing stuff for yourself, but also get to pass that along to other people.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just been kind of misconstrued.
Yeah, but it's definitely more of it puts stress. I mean, that puts stress on guys. Mm-hmm. And then when they do fail or at the point of failure and like don't feel good about themselves, even though if they're just like the next move away, like that, it's tough.
Yeah. Some people are, taught or seen to, once you get to that point, to kind of lash out and fight back, when sometimes you just gotta sit through it and look inwardly or speak about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like ego wise, it's always been kind of a hard thing, or seen as like emasculating to speak about your feelings.
Yep.
For men in general, because of that, that role in society as you're supposed to be the provider or whatever. But I think it's the strongest thing you can do as a man, to be able to look inwardly and discuss your genuine feelings or your struggles.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing with ego is you don't look at yourself.
Yeah.
Like you just think, okay, like I gotta buck up and do this, or like I gotta not care what other people think, or not care what other people think, but like,
or you can't
I just gotta take it on the chin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I just think if you suppress that stuff, dude, it sucks.
It builds and it makes it worse.
It sucks.
Yeah, sometimes.
And I think ego is one of the easiest things for us to get hurt on.
Oh, it's so fragile.
Yeah.
Egos are the most fragile thing.
If your ego gets hurt, it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks, and it's hard to get over.
Right. But I mean, it's a tiny little word for a reason.
Yeah.
Because those things, egos are, I don't think they're ever a good thing.
No.
You know what I mean? To even have one.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, it's gonna get shattered no matter what.
Yep.
If you have an ego.
Yeah.
And the bigger it is,
true.
the easier target it is for someone to, throw a rock at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's easier said than done, but I think that's the biggest thing that men today. But I think it does stem from like becoming like a provider and being like this protector type person where it's kind of been misconstrued. So it's like, I don't know, a lot of men feel like they have to show out and prove themselves before they're even in a phase where they're like they actually have to. Like if they don't even have a family yet, but they have to show that they're this big like protector, that can kind of get out of control in a way.
And this is something probably not all y'all ladies know, but like guys compare themselves, I think, more to guys than potentially girls compare themselves to girls.
You think so?
I don't know. I would think so, but
So,
dude, I just feel like we do. I feel like we're always trying to be like a little more masculine, or like just kind of like, I feel like we're competitive, like very competitive with other dudes. I mean, that's why we fight each other more, probably.
Yeah, probably. That's why the UFC's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel like that's something that isn't actually really talked about, like how guys compare themselves to other people.
Yeah, it seems to be just a general human thing where I see what you're saying. I definitely think.
Maybe not more, but like we do it more than you think.
Yeah, it's not spoken up as much as, females haven't been able to speak up about it.
Yep.
Yep. It's definitely a thing that happens for sure. I think it's just a normal, it comes into social media like we just went and talked about for the longest time. It's like, when you see somebody out there doing something that's a little bit stronger looking than you or a little bit, more successful than you, it's going to make you feel a little bit insecure sometimes. And
yeah.
But those feelings right there are fleeting. And what really matters is how you react to them. So it's like if you put that reaction and build your ego up with it, that's one thing. But if you put that reaction and then go put work in, I feel like that's the way to kind of overpower those thoughts. But it's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Big time.
It definitely is. Do you feel like you felt a lot of guilt in your life? Like, do you think a lot of men feel like a lot of guilt on the other hand? You know what I mean? Do you think that's why maybe, men in society these days, like, because it has been like, I don't know, in a way, I feel like some people are really empowered by being like fuckboys, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like taking advantage and not treating women properly or not treating, other people properly in general.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, that has been rewarded in society. That kind of activity, but I don't really see why. Yeah,
I don't see why either. And like if I ever feel like I'm acting that way or feel like I didn't like treat someone right, I do. Yeah, I for sure feel that guilt. I feel like a lot of guys do. They just kind of like brush it off and like act like it's nothing, and they're cool to their boys and whatever.
Or feel that guilt, and then it is shown in different ways, and the behavior just spins out of control and gets even worse.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like, and this is so normal in relationships or whatever, but like, if I don't feel like the same way for somebody that they feel for me, like I actually feel guilt from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like I do, and like it affects me. Like I think about it a lot.
But that's out of your control.
It is. But like, and then on the other side, it's like, I don't know, if a girl didn't have feelings for me, like I'd be like, okay, I get it.
Right. Like, you'd be like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Like, whatever. So
yeah, honesty is the best policy.
It is.
Even when it seems difficult.
But yeah, like I've definitely felt guilt in those situations. I mean, just about stuff that isn't really a big deal, but could be. Like if I've been with my family before and I was just like tired or out of it or whatever, like too much personal space taken away if we're all staying together somewhere or whatever the case is, and I wasn't as present as I would want to be, and I've like felt guilty about stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I feel guilt all the time, but it's not really for like big reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not a narcissist. Like
I think that's pretty clear.
I've done wrong things in the past for sure. And I'm sure I'll mess up again somewhere. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I think it was super normal. And guys,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And everybody makes mistakes. It's just, I don't know, man. I feel like just the golden rule is just it's fine to make mistakes. It's just all about how you bounce back or how you react to those mistakes. You know, like a one moment or one thought or one action doesn't always define everybody.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you can take a lesson from something that you did in your past
and try and be better from it.
Try and learn from it. Every moment is just a learning opportunity, you know, and every experience is just a learning opportunity. So, but it's normal to feel guilty, dude. I've definitely felt that way, or like, you know, past tense embarrassment or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the thing I'd be feeling. I'm always embarrassing myself.
Yeah.
Like, my entire present is just embarrassing my future. It feels like sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, I'll probably look back.
I feel that. That.
When I'm like 65 years old, I'll be like, why did I not get a haircut? You know, you know, just stuff like that. That's how I'm always feeling.
Yeah.
Dude, it just comes with the territory. Society's tough, man. It's tough these days to navigate this world.
I think guys are more insecure than it's talked about too.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
yeah, that must be the biggest problem with men. Insecurity.
For sure. And I think everybody's insecure in their own ways. Like, there's always going to be like something, but I think honestly, I think the guys that are like the really big alpha males sometimes, or like act like they are at least.
Yeah, it could be a front for insecurity.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a case that happens. And there's good ways to be like alpha provider, whatever, and there's bad ways. Like, I think.
For sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think like guys are a lot more insecure than it's talked about, and whatever.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the actions and the things that how people present themselves these days are just side effects of that, of self-doubt, or what were we just talking? What was the word? Why is it slipping my mind? The whole thing we were just talking about.
Insecurity.
Thank you. Why did that word leave my mind?
I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of things that people are doing these days are just side effects from insecurities.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there is a thin line, because sometimes, I mean, in the past, I feel like society, a lot of people are trying to come back to earth, because in the past it has been seen as like selfish to care about yourself and all that. So
yeah,
you know, insecurities, I think, are stemming from that. And
it's hard to like realize what they are and like accept them, and like at least like say it or own it. Like, it's actually really hard to own them and just be like, I don't care about this, because you do.
Right.
So
you have to actually not care about it before you say you don't care about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
True. So that's another thing I kind of want to talk about, is like identity. Like, when you think about that word, how do you like see yourself? Or how do you think about that word, identity?
Like, God, that's a deep one.
I've been thinking about that one a lot lately. Just, I feel like, I mean, for me, in the past, I've kind of identified as what my, job is, I guess, or what you know what I'm saying? Like, or what the accomplishments I have. Yeah. I always thought it was weird when you first meet someone or something, it's always like, oh, what are you? Or what do you do? It's like, why are we identifying with the job that we have? You know what I'm saying? I think
that's true, dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always felt that it was a little weird. So usually when I meet someone for the first time, that's not one of my questions I ask. I'm not usually like, what do you do? Until like way deeper into the conversation. I want to get the feel for someone's character first, and someone's personality first. I think that's what defines them more. And I've learned more and more that that's how I like to be identified, as just my character and my personality, more so than my like job title.
I love that.
Do you know what I'm saying?
No, yeah.
You know
I've never thought about it that way, but like that's great.
It's something I've been thinking about a lot.
That's how I would want to be identified.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be a freaking influencer. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to be even if I'm like a famous actor, I don't want to be that. I want to just be like Tyler.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's just something I've been for whatever reason, that's always been something in my mind that is always taking me the wrong way.
Yeah.
You know, when I think about it.
Yeah. I think honestly, like I would hope to be identified as like just a good friend, good person, and
that is what you're
like someone to honestly, like I feel like sometimes in the past I've got a stigma about being like just caring about partying and drinking, which is fair.
Hey, it's
like
a good time.
I mean, I like to have fun.
Yeah,
it might be a little bad at some points.
It's a little good at some points too.
It's a little good at some points too, but I would rather be identified as like a guy just who likes to have fun with his friends and be in social environments and meet new people.
Yeah, that's the thing though. I feel like, so those are like character traits of you that you want to be identified by.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like being identified by your job title or your, what you're doing is kind of a tricky situation to be in, because then
I don't really think it fucking matters.
Yeah. But if like, say you're someone who I only identify as a podcast host, but then, and I internally, like that's how I intrinsically value myself, is my self-worth is as a podcast host. And say like our episode gets 0 views for the next 10 episodes, and I'm intrinsically valuing myself only as a podcast host, and I'm getting no reward for it, then my entire self-worth is shattered based on something else that I have no control over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's an extrinsic, I'm relying on an extrinsic source of value to fill me up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
No,
I feel like it's a fragile place to be.
It is a fragile place to be.
Because like a lot of people fail in their businesses, or if you're like, an actor and you're not getting any roles, you're like, and you only value yourself based on how many roles you're getting, then your whole self-worth is going to be shot. So I think if you focus more on who you are as a person, how you treat other people, and how you put yourself out in the world, that's a way to identify yourself that you have control over and that is sustainable, and you put more good things out into the world, and it's the cycle.
So true.
Man, that was
yeah, you
you
crushed that one. That was great. But it is fucking true. Like, yeah, and I've actually never tied my identity to, I hope I haven't.
Honestly, I feel like
hope
like
I
our friend
haven't.
group hasn't done that. I think that's something like that we've, for whatever reason, have always been like that. Like I can't see any of our friends being like that.
Yeah, there was 2 years at my job where I was like the top sales rep, like top guy, and like I still really hope I didn't identify myself that way, but like at the same time I kind of feel like I did.
But when you're at the top, it's fun to do that, and it's like you should deserve to feel accomplished.
For sure.
But in a way, if you're putting all of your eggs in that basket and you only value yourself,
which I wasn't. I wasn't.
Good.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So
you deserve to feel proud and happy with your accomplishments, but I think being able to, separate them from your actual identity is important.
No,
that's just a sector of it.
It's so important.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just a thought I've been
having lately. That was killer.
I've not been able to sleep very well at night, so these thoughts, like we talked about, I turn my phone off and all these thoughts start coming. I have to write shit down, so I wrote the longest thing about that whole identity thing. Maybe it's just something with that I've been struggling with, because every time someone asks me, like, if I get asked, when you meet someone, like, what do you do? I always struggle so much with
I hate it.
Oh,
I actually hate that question.
I hate it because I'm like, man, I do a lot of things.
Yeah.
I do a lot of things.
Yep.
And I don't want to be identified as one of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's just the easy question to ask, I guess now.
Yeah.
Like, especially at this point, like where we're at, like how old we are, like everybody's just like related around their careers and whatever. I mean, I guess what question would you ask first if you couldn't ask that one?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's tough, right?
It's tough.
It's tough.
It is tough. I guess like where you from or something like that. Or I try to just stay present in the moment and try to, not that I try to, what I do is if I'm meeting someone new, I just kind of see what's going on in the actual environment right then and there. And I just kind of talk about things and get a gauge for someone's personality there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is cool. I've met some of the coolest people that way too. Like I don't know if I told you this story. There's this dude named Alfredo that I'm really like, we've just been homies on Instagram ever since, but I was at like a party in LA and I was just kind of.
Oh yeah, you told me about it.
Yeah, I was just kind of like really, it was a tough point in my life. I was like going through a breakup and stuff. So I was at this party and it's like a bunch of reality TV people. So it's kind of hard to be there. So I was kind of like being by myself and everything. And I mean, this Alfredo dude just ended up just kicking it, talking about wolves on the roof and everything. And then I come to find out later, he's like Justin Bieber's photographer. And like,
No way.
It's just, he's like, he followed me on Instagram and he's got like 3 million followers and all. And it's like, we weren't trying to be homies just because, you know, of each other or those reasons. We were just generally just like laughing.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's how you meet the most genuine people. The people that stick with you.
It's the best.
You know?
Yep.
So that's just a thought. Identity. We could do a whole freaking episode on identity.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, it's hard. That's part of looking inward too and realizing what your identity actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And like what you want to be perceived as, or what you hope you're perceived as, at least.
For sure. Yeah, I'd rather be, you know, be a poor person, you know, not have a lot of accomplishments or money and anything like that, but be known as a kind, you know, good soul than the opposite. Be super successful and be an asshole.
Same.
Because like really, what are you putting out in the world?
Yep.
You know what I mean? So.
Couldn't agree more.
Should we end on that? That's
I think we should end there.
That was a good episode, man.
That was.
You're really good.